To get us started. Did you ever have an opportunity or desire an opportunity to get to be one of the voice actors because you do all these characters?
No.
It never happened.
We were in our cubicles, and east is east and west is west, and never the twain shall meet.
But the question was, did you have the desire for it? Would you have ever wanted to if presented with an opportunity?
I was so busy drawing, cracking jokes or whatever, and I liked doing what I was doing. It was fine. It was a full-time job and then some more. It's kind of like being focused on a part of your career. I was playing music early on, and I kind of made a conscious decision to put my energy into one or the other. And art won out.
So I have a question for all of you. I think we have conversations about like the movie and the comic book and all the things that are happening sort of now, like with the Integrity Doll line is finishing. For your perspectives, where would you like to see, if anywhere at all, Jem to go from here? Like, is there anything that you would, like another try at a movie, or I don't know?
Jem, the Broadway musical.
Yes. Yes. It would just be a natural.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Call it Broadway.
Yeah. Right?
I mean, what, Addams Family, or what, Little Shop of Horrors, was this obscure 50s movie. And next thing you know, it's a musical and then a movie again, done right.
I don't know if I've ever hello, testing, okay. I don't know if I've ever told, I probably have told you guys this before, but before they were doing the movie, I knew this director. His name is J.B. Gurem. We're Facebook friends, and we've known each other from New York. And he made a movie called Spork, S-P-O-R-K, like the spoon and the fork thing. And I recommend everybody look up this movie. It was a small independent film, but he did such an incredible job, and the styling and the colors, and it was so Jem. And I used to own, I don't know how I got it, but now I know it goes around, but I used to own the Jem Bible somehow, because I'm that crazy of a fan. Like, I was like, I found the Jem Bible, which everyone knows it was the Bible that had all the character descriptions and everything, and he wanted to direct the Jem movie. And have I told this to you guys before? No? And I knew that, because after I saw Spork, I saw it, I'm like, you're the guy. You are the one who can really be true to Jem. And I gave him my Bible. I'm just like, take the Bible and please make this happen. And this was years before the movie happened. And I know that he had many meetings with the big wigs, and he was supposed to direct the movie, and then they just went with someone who, already had was doing a track record of doing, big films and stuff. And, I don't mean to insult any of the fans of the movie here, but, I really don't feel like the movie captured what was special about Jem. And it was not, it wasn't really Jem to me. They used the name, they used some of the things, some of the elements, but they didn't do the update of Jem that I would have wanted to see. And so I don't know, that's just a story. I just wanted to tell you that story because I know he was slated. He was really trying very hard, and was almost slated to direct the film, and it would have been such an incredible film. So I know, like all the other fans, were the disappointment of that, because the brand would have gone to a whole nother level had the film, been a success, and had the film really captured what captured the hearts of the animated series. So I don't know if there's still hope
Yes, there is. You spearhead
Yeah.
the Broadway play or off Broadway. Ari.
I can barely get my own show together, but yeah, hey, listen. I do think a lot, there has been, wasn't there a live action? Somebody did a live version of the show, of Gem. Didn't somebody do that?
You mean on YouTube? Yeah, there's some.
Didn't they tour or something with
Yeah,
it?
thing that,
It's only been
at like a college or something that Samantha was at.
Oh, yeah, Florida.
Oh.
It was just like a one day thing. That was-
Right, a one-off thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an extremely fabulous idea. It would, I mean, imagine the people making the outfits and really staying true to the story.
We'd hire Louise.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly, yes.
I mean, put together a
I know, the
presentation.
styling in the film is just so off.
Yeah, I'm sure Hasbro cut loose the rights for a few pretty penny.
But watch this film, Spork, because you'll see how, if you just take that film and you see how someone with that vision could have brought, because Gem is so colorful, so colorful. The movie was dark. And and it wasn't even dark in content, because Gem actually went to some dark places emotionally, but it didn't even really do that. It just
Gem in
drab.
name only.
Just drab. Drab Gem.
This is, I guess, mainly for Keith, but for all of you. I know he's done a lot of Comic-Cons and that sort of thing. Any fun stories about meeting fans? I know you said you've had a lot of Gem fans over the years. Any fun stories that are worth sharing?
Most Gem fans that show up at Comic Cons are very enthusiastic.
Yeah.
My wife and I have both been impressed. The level of enthusiasm, and very impressed being here at JemCon for the first time.
I'm sorry, I missed it at the start. What's it like being a K6 symbol, Ari?
He wants to try it.
From Bonnie to well, for me, I thought it was important, at the time, again, like when I was coming out with music, it's really like the only representations we saw of gay men were, like Queer Eye for the Straight Guy was really huge, and I guess Will and Grace, and those were like the only two. And like Queer Eye is like, a bunch of gay guys who were there to like make straight people look better, and Will and Grace was fairly desexualized. The characters didn't really.
Completely.
So I really wanted to make sure that there was a sexuality to the gayness, but it was not always well received. But as I said, I think there was a lot of fear around that time. I remember when Adam Lambert had it, he did that. He was just off of American Idol, and he just came out, and then he did a huge performance on the Grammys or something, and he kissed a guy, and I mean he was I mean they criticized him. He was put on the his career really took a downspin at that point. He's managed to get back up again, but I mean, and that's I hope it's not. Sometimes we've actually had kids come to JemCon. I didn't see any this year.
There were some yesterday.
Oh yeah, there were some. One of the things that I personally loved about Gem was the sexuality of an '80s cartoon was out there. I mean, Kimber was, she was having fun, Kimber. So she had multiple lovers, and I just love that it was for children, but it didn't shy away. It did not shy away from all kinds of adult themes, but it was handled in such a positive way and such a educational way that, through the music and through the visuals and, you know, and all the talented people that were a part of the show, it meant, you know, it was able to touch upon all of these different, you know, difficult topics, and you know, and I don't know, maybe our parents didn't know what we were watching. And I know, sorry, keep talking, but I'm like probably the biggest Jem fan on the panel, but you know, also I know that a lot of the guys probably here have the experience because we were able to sneak in watching something that would have been normally marketed only to girls because it was part of Robotics, Bigfoot, and Jem when it first aired on TV. So,
I
you know,
worked on all of those.
yeah. I wanted to ask you really because you mentioned robotics, I think, last night, and I wanted to ask you about
Yeah, I
that.
did the main title for Bigfoot.
Robotics, Bigfoot, and Jem. So it was cool.
I was gonna ask, I know you live in Nashville, so you probably still see Samantha and Patricia.
Yes.
But for any of you that worked on the show, is there somebody that you still kept in touch with, or that you wished you had kept in touch with, and you've lost, well, obviously.
Oh my God.
We've been in touch. I went to see Britta's solo show in New York, which was awesome. Yeah, she was amazing. And I keep in touch with Britta. And me and Sam, I mean, we just met once before the screening of the Jem movie. I met Samantha. That was the only time I met her. But me and Samantha have been back and forth. We're now, like, you know, online friends. So, and I went to the courthouse. I think I can tell this with Anne and Ellen. They went to the courthouse to try and get back some of the rights because they're fighting for the rights of Jem music, I think, still. So I went to the courthouse with them. So I mean, and I've seen Ellen, and I've gotten together with Ellen and Anne quite a bit. We really got close from last JemCon, so that was cool. Yeah. And Jamie knew Ellen growing up. We sang with her, even outside of Jem, Jamie sang with Ellen.
Yeah, she was like this little sprite that, you know, you'd walk in the room, there's Ellen! They're crazy boys, you know, and just like, hey! And she was always happy and always just so glad to see us. And even though technically, like, we'd be singing in a kid's spot or something, you know, she looked like a kid. She was tall as all of us. And sometimes she was just the adult there to help, you know, teach us the song real quick, you know, just get us going and then just keep us together and then blam, get us out. But she was so much fun to work with. I mean, I worked with her a lot. Like so many different things. I can't even remember half of them. Actually, I can't remember most of them. I can't remember most of my life. But no, I do remember Ellen, you know, and Anne. You know, just such an amazing, warm, wonderful person. You know, worked so well with kids. And I think I remember her like giving you a big hug every time you saw her. You know, you'd walk in and here you are, you're this little kid, and there's all these people in the studio, and she'd be like, "Hey!" And she'd come over and give you a big hug and tell you, you know, what she's looking for, and you know, I'm gonna be Ellen. Yeah. little character.
Did you, Ari or Jamie? Did you know the other Foster girls that sang?
No, and I've been trying to figure out who sang Ashley's song. And Chrissy's song. What was Chrissy's song again?
You Made Me a Star.
You Made Me a Star.
Yes, it is. That is like my favorite song. Well, I mean,
Wait. What is it again?
You Made Me a Star. Sorry, I really like that.
Wait, not.
You made me a star.
The other one's I Can See Me a Star.
You're so cool.
That's You made me a star. Right. Does anyone know who the names of who sang those
I
two
don't
songs?
think even Anne and Ellen remembered who they were.
They don't remember?
I think we asked, and they were just like, oh, some kid.
We've got to find those kids. I don't know who sang Ashley.
I didn't even know you sang on it.
I Can See Me a Star with like Ashley, and you sing your like I am Father May Be.
I know, and Alone Again mashup is all of them.
What about you, Keith? Have you stayed in touch
Oh, yeah. A lot of us all work, the artists, we've all worked at numerous productions. Will Mineo is a great friend and associate and worked on many productions for him and with him, mostly for him. I was just talking to him the other day before I came here. And I was like, gee, what were some of our marching orders when we did those songs? And, I needed a brain boost, I couldn't remember everything. And, a lot of us have gone into all kinds of different shows, and we either keep touch by telephone, now we've got the internet, lots of Facebook art friends, and, but still keep, once in a while, we'll just chat on the phone.
Keith, do you, you're the first time you're with us, the JemCon crowd. What's, you go to other Comic-Cons, like what is the difference? What's the vibe you get from us compared to the other fans of your work?
Like I said before, the enthusiasm. You weren't here, that's why. You were Johnny lately. Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, there's a level of enthusiasm for Jem it's up there, I mean, yeah, there are a lot of G.I. Joe people who show up and dress as Joe and everything, and they're a close second. But Jem, yeah, there's a real enthusiasm, and
why do you think that is?
I think because of the message that was in the show. That it wasn't just, one action show or one comedy show. It was a girls' show, but it had that boy adventure kind of vibe to it. There was a point in the ratings where it actually was ahead for like 6 weeks of Transformers. And so it really did reach a lot of people. Boys could watch it and watch the adventure and see the girls doing the singing and all. And I guess they didn't groan and stayed with it, And no, it just had a heart. And it was creative, people being creative. And that did reach, it was different. And look how many creative people came from watching it. Or being in it. Or sitting right there. You look so great.
Thank you.
This is a question for like everyone on the panel. I know a lot of the guests that we've had over the years have talked about how for Jem, for them, it was just kind of a job. They came in, whether they were a voice actor or a singer or a box art artist or whatever, they just came in and did their job and they were proud of it, but they just kind of compartmentalized it and then moved on. And then they didn't realize until like years later the impact that their work had or how popular the show was. I'm wondering if you guys have any particular memories, maybe when you first found out about JemCon or when you were first asked to come to JemCon, and what your initial thought was or your reaction, like, oh my God, people actually know about that or care about that. Love to kind of hear about that, what your thought process was.
I can speak on that one,
yeah,
for
please.
Sure. Because yeah, when I sang the song Alone Again, I went in, I sang, it was a job, I was told what it was for, and then, you kind of move on. And also at my age, like I had said, I think it was yesterday, that because I was in I was so busy, doing other jobs and school and just everything, and I never got a chance to actually watch the cartoon. It just sort of went away for me. And then it wasn't until last year when Ari, told me about JemCon in New York, and then he's like, oh my God, you have to go. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you have no idea how amazing these people are. He's like, you have no idea how much fun it is. He's like, and everyone wanted to know, where's Laura? Does anyone know where Laura is? And I was like, come on. I'm like, people really care about that song I sang? And he's like, yeah, they really do. And I was really taken aback, a song that I barely even remembered doing. And then all of a sudden I go online and I'm watching YouTube and I'm like, oh my God, and I'm looking at the comments, and then Ari's like, you really, really need to go next year. He's like, you're gonna have a blast, you're gonna have so much fun. And I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna do it. And it was really, I didn't know what to expect, but it was just very heartwarming when Ari told me that my character actually meant something to people. I was like, just wow, how awesome is that? I mean, just one day you find out the character you sing had an effect on people, and the song that you sang and the way you sang it, and that people just want to meet the person behind the voice. It's so flattering and heartwarming and honored. I feel honored for that. So
I second that.
You kind of had the same reaction too when you came in St. Louis, where you were like, what is this?
I just heard that she crashed St. Louis.
She did, yeah.
I love
She
that.
snuck into the hotel at midnight.
Oh, for real?
It was
Just to see what was going on.
So Jetta-like and so unlike me. and I just, oh my gosh, you guys, you know what I love about it? Everyone talks about, I wish it was maybe bigger, but I won't start crying, but it just seems like a family. I've only been here twice, but just keeping in touch with you on Facebook and whatnot. And then the way that everybody has kind of opened up in either their presentations or just talking with all of you, it's just amazing. We're all exactly the same, just going through different things. And Jem is the what is it?
The catalyst?
It's the catalyst. That's a good word for Scrabble, isn't it?
And it resonates.
Yes, and resonates.
She's the
yeah.
glue.
Yeah.
That sticks us all together.
Gem glue.
Yeah.
I was telling the lads, a couple of the lads, I'm not going to name them, that I went to meet the Queen in the last couple of years. Has anybody heard this story? No. Well, I have to quickly tell it, okay, because it's so Jetta. So, apparently I have a new nickname, Last Minute Louise, which everybody will sort of catch on to soon, but I was invited with my dad to go and meet the Queen because of some society that he was in. So, of course, I never had my dress ready, nothing was ready, and we got to London, and it was the day of. And I started walking the cobbled streets like Jessa just completely whacked out. On the cobbled streets, my ankles are turning over going, I have to get a dress, I have to get a dress. And then this carriage comes past with these people that are dressed beautifully. And I'm like, oh, it's all right for you. You got your act together. I started turning into Jetta. Then I go to one of these fancy shops, and the dress that I did have was too big for me. So remember in the 80s, those scrunchy things that you used to think? So I'm going into the shop and I'm asking all these cute young girls, do you have one of those scrunchy things? And they didn't know what the heck I was talking about. I said, oh, you're too young to be working at a shop like this. It's too posh for you. You don't know what I'm talking about. And again, I had to rein myself back in. And so finally, we get in the car, and the directional thing says, you will be arriving at Buckingham Palace on the next left turn. How crazy is that? You're arriving at Buckingham Palace. So we pull in, and we weren't allowed to pull in because our car hadn't been checked, and they had to go underneath, and all that. And I'm getting all riled up. Anyway, so we go in, and Dad and I are up against the wall, like we've never been in the business at all, okay? And the Queen comes in, and she's about, 3'4" now. So she comes in, and Dad says, I've not flown all this way, not to even get a handshake. I said, you can't do that. You're not supposed to shake her hand. So he goes, come on. I'm not doing this. So we go into the middle of the room, and he says, he pushes in, and he goes, Your Majesty, Engelbert Humperdinck. Like this. It was like out of a movie. And then he pushes me forward and he goes, this is my daughter. And I grab her hand and I'm shaking it. Oh, I'm just so excited to meet you. So I sit down and I tried to compose myself. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've just committed the worst, faux pas in England. And then the next lady that came up, she was about, 28, she said, oh, you look just like my granny, to the Queen. Thank Christ, I'm not as bad as that. And then we were all dressed up, and we went on the motorway home, and we stopped off, and we had fish and chips in all our finery. So it was just totally Jetta.
That is beautiful.
I'd actually like to ask Louise more. You alluded to it yesterday about your work in music videos.
Oh, I had to make a list because I forgot. Oh, okay, so I will leave this up here for your viewing pleasure. This is when I was doing the voiceover show, but I was in Don Felder's Bad Girls, I was in Billy Squires' Don't Say You Love Me, Weird Al, I was in Kansas, Was Not Was, Rubber Ball, where yes, which there was like a weird thing with my dad in that, not my dad, but my dad in the thing. You have to watch it. Oh my God. Yeah. So, and other stuff along the way. What are you whispering about back there?
I can't wait to go on
It's a lot of fun, yeah.
Great. So is that Jetta story true?
The one I just... Oh my gosh, yes.
Another story?
There's just so much, there's so much to tell, I had to condense it a little bit, but...
But Jetta would make it all.
It's true, along with a lot of other giggles back there. Look at him giggling with the purple hair. He's already heard some of my stories. Oh, are you?
Is the projector still working?
Is the projector still working?
Yes.
Oh gosh.
And maybe gone with time for video.
It's like narrated through. This is me in this video. And this is the thing.
Was there any other projects besides Gem that you guys feel especially attached to? That you remember doing that you think like, that's like the one other thing.
I actually have one. Years later, I was 17 and about to graduate from high school, and I got a phone call from someone saying, we're putting together a girls group. Because at that point, New Kids on the Block was huge, and everyone loved them, except for me. But they're like, we're putting together a girls group. We'd love for you to audition. And I was like, sure. But I didn't have time for the woman who was producing this whole thing, so she had to come to the studio where I was so that I could, where I was singing a commercial so that she could hear me sing. So I sang something completely a cappella. She's like, great, you're in. I was like, all right, cool. So then they brought in all these other girls, so there were about 5 of us. And we were all completely different. So here's me, the tomboy with the short brown hair, who doesn't wear any makeup. Then you've got this girl, Kimberly, who's got this wild red hair that's like all curly and crazy, and she's from Broadway, and she's been doing Starlight Express, and everything was just this. Just like, I'm Kimberly, it's so great to meet you. And I'm
Kimberly and Jane.
I've seen Broadway. I've not been on Broadway. Then there was Irene, who was this dancer, and she had this black, like Prince Albert hair, whatever you call it, very striking. Then there was another girl who was totally blonde, so we're all very different. And we start rehearsing together. So first we start recording these songs, and then we start, we get these songs together, and the producer says, oh, we're going to go to London to meet with a producer or the people that want to produce this album for your girl group. And we're like, oh my God, it's so cool. So then we start rehearsing with Debbie Gibson's choreographer. It's awesome, man. He's got his dancing you know, doing like back and forth. And I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I was a cheerleader. I'm like, what are we doing? I never have to dance in the studio. So we end up dancing, and I'm wearing like polka dot, you know, leggings, and I'm like, where am I? What am I doing? We went to a photographer, and I'm sitting here like in a life that I didn't even know existed. So eventually we fly to London. We get there, and it turns out we're meeting with PWL, Peter Waterman Limited, I think, who did Rick Astley and Donna Summer. What song is that? I'm on a sonic that'll let you go.
Stefan knows all.
Sometimes they'll let you know. And of course, Rick Astley was their coffee boy, which I first found out until he started singing, and they were like, "How is this, you know, kid that looks like Howdy Doody have this incredible voice?" So here we are, you know, we're all like practicing and rehearsing, and we sort of did that thing where we had to practice, you know, rehearsing, you know, being able to dance and sing and either lip sync or whatever, but we actually did the vocals. And we were in London for 3 days, and we were just kind of flipping out, like meeting with all these people. And we got back. I got us a really great attorney. He looked over the contract and basically looked at me and he says, Jamie, he's like, if you don't drop out of this group right now, he goes, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And I went, what do you mean? He goes, you're not going to make any money and you're not going to go anywhere. And I said, but this is like Donna Summer, Rick Astley, London, like Peter, like wow. And he's like, I'm serious. So I dropped out of the group. I went back to school, and 4 years later, the band's name was Boy Crazy.
I knew it! I knew that's who you were talking about!
The band's name was Boy Crazy. They came out with one song, one hit single.
One hit wonder?
One hit wonder that my friend Jonna sang, and that was it. And I was a senior in college. I found out about it. I talked to a radio station in Hartford. I got in touch with them and I said I was one of the original members of Boy Crazy, but I dropped out. And they were like, oh my God, I showed them all my pictures and the photos and whatever. And it's really funny because it's one of those stories that, you know, this was something that I was so excited about because they talked about, oh, you're going to go on to Madison Square Garden. Like, we have you booked with, you know, New Kids on the Block. Like, all of this just, you know, flashes of light and sparkles, and, you know, you're going to be like, we're going to dress you up and we're going to get you out there. And then when your attorney tells you, you know what, this is going to be the biggest mistake of your life, and it turns out that he saved you from it, it was sort of a big letdown at first, but then I realized that I got a college education, and the women who were in the band, a lot of them just didn't know what to do with themselves, and I felt really bad. I actually got in touch with some of them afterward and talked with them, and, you know, they ended up going back to doing some theater, doing some stuff, but on the one hand, I really, really wish it, like, I had experienced it, because it would have been fun to stay in London for months on end and do gigs some places, but I think, you know, it wasn't my personality either to do that. I think my mother was also, if I had gone, she probably would have killed me, because she really wanted me to have a college education. So as much as an excitement it was for that, you know, brief moment, I'm really happy that I decided to stick where I was, go to school, and, you know, get my degree, and, you know, really experience being an adult rather than staying like this kid who was trying to chase something.
Doing the right thing.
And not be dead.
And not be dead?
From your mom.
And not be dead from my mom. and also there, you know, there were, and sort of going back to Laura, it's kind of interesting because being in like a girl band, and then, you know, you are exposed to a lot of drugs. There's a lot of people, like, here, have a drink. Here, you want a bump? Here, you want to, and you're kind of like, I'm 17.
Wow.
Why are you offering me this, you know? And it was so bizarre. I mean, I had been offered drugs before in other situations, but in other recording situations, but yeah, it's just it was a very strange universe, and I think I was kind of, again, glad, that it.
Especially considering your past as a Starlight girl and having...
Exactly, exactly. Although I did go to a Christmas party once for one production company that used me a ton. They kept inviting me to their Christmas parties when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And I remember, I think I was 9 or 10 years old, and my mom dropped me off at the party because I knew everyone was going to be there. I was the only kid. And here they were giving me glasses of wine. They're like, here, have a drink.
Maybe you look like a very mature 10-year-old.
Well, as I already said, I looked older than I was. But, it was, so sort of like Laura or like anyone, it's weird how this stuff is pushed on you and you don't even realize it. And you want to be a grown-up and you want to party with the big boys, Then my mom would pick me up and I'd be like, hey, Mom. She's like, oh, Jesus. I'm going with you to the next one. And of course she didn't. So hey, pour me a drink. Thank God mine did not end up becoming an alcoholic, which actually she thinks I am, but that's another story. But yeah, so those are a couple little stories mixed into one.
Fascinating.
Speaking of New Kids, I did a demo for the Cherry Coke commercial that New Kids sang on. I go, we got more cherry, baby. It's the hit it's the taste that's here to stay. We got the right stuff.
Nice. Very nice. It's a very interesting lifestyle, when you grow up doing these things, and you're sort of torn into lots of different. You become lots of different people. Singer of Gem, singer of something else, school, student, someone's daughter, someone's son, and then it's like, gotta go to work, gotta make more money. You're like, wait a minute, making money? But, I wouldn't trade it for a day, but I usually tell my friends, I'm like, please don't let your kids go into show business. Let them have just normal, fun lives. If they're singers, encourage them. If they're talented, yes, encourage them. But I got into this business by mistake, and as much as it made a big impact, there are things that come along with it.
What was the mistake?
Well, it wasn't really a mistake, it was a fluke. My dad was a music producer, and he did this commercial for Lipton's Chicken Noodle Soup, and they needed someone to sing the demo for the agency, because they were submitting it along with a bunch of other people. And my mom said, have Jamie sing it. And he said, why? She can't sing. And my mom's like, she can sing. Let her do the demo. You don't have to pay her. She's your daughter. You'd have to pay some other kid to do this, so just have her do it. And I sang on it. They played it for the agency. The agency loved it, and they said, the only reason why we're going to buy this and turn it into a final is if the kid who's singing on the demo sings on the final.
Wow. Did you get a raise in your allowance?
I think I embarrassed my poor dad at the time, and then they wanted me to audition for the on-camera, which I got as well. So then after that, it was just kind of like, oh, I'll try another one. Why not? And then it just sort of grew from there. So I didn't even realize sort of what was happening. But yeah, had I not sang that one commercial, I'd be somewhere else. I never would have sung Alone Again. I never would have done any of the stuff, the Hallmarks and all commercials. I never would have met Ari. I never would have met any of you. So yeah,
it's all shared.
It's all shared. Yes,
it's meant to be.
It's all worth it. It's all worth it. Definitely. Yeah.
Louise, you talked about your daughter getting over her stage fright recently. Did you have, when you first started performing, what were your memories, or were you ever afraid of performing?
So ill. I was just, I think I was in my 30s when I finally was able to get through one whole song. And I don't know what my dad saw in me. No, I don't mean it that way. I mean, he saw it, but I didn't. And he knew that I really wanted it, but didn't know how to express that. And the first time I sang with him was at the Hollywood Bowl with 100 musicians behind me.
Okay.
Damn.
And I tripped on the
No
speaker
stress.
on the way out. And my mum was in the front row, and I was standing there just solid. The vocals were good, but I kept looking at my mum, please take a picture, please. Nobody took a picture. I have one just at rehearsal, and that's it. But the hardest thing was the rehearsal with the musicians, because you just had to really fake it to make it with that. You know, these are all professional guys. And I used to have a hang-up when I was on the road with my dad. I felt like I didn't deserve to be there, and I always thought about the backup singers and the band, and I really held myself back until I started writing my own stuff, and him letting me go out there, and I got the response, and I got a few standing O's here and there, and you know, I still have people that want to hear me sing, so I'm going to do another CD. We're in the middle of.
Yeah.
And this time I'm going to sing like Taylor Jackson. I'm going to just let it all out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Make this thing pretty.
I have a similar question for Ari. Like, how did you go from like doing all like the jingles and what you're doing as a kid to I want to pursue a professional music career, and as the particular way that you did that, as openly gay, as you know, everything that you talked about?
Well, I have my first demo when I was 12, and the two songs on that demo were Stacey Ladisaw's "We Can Make Miracles." Remember that song? We can make miracles together. And Games People Play by the Alan Parsons Project.
Oh my God.
Which is, and it did like a what's it called? What's that style called?
Riff?
No, what's the
New Jack Swing?
Not New Jack Swing. It was like a new
Freestyle?
freestyle. Yeah, it was like a freestyle version. And then well, this is in my show too, because I sang the demo before my voice changed, and then I did the song again at 14 after my voice changed in a lower key. And as I say in my show, when my balls dropped, so did my career. So I had another demo when I was 14, and one of my biggest, I would say, well, I mean, I had, at one point, there was a show on, it did end up airing on TV, but there was this show called The Greatest Stories Ever Told, and it was like a cartoon, and the kids would go into these Bible stories and stuff, and I had gotten that as a child, and they were actually going to they took pictures of all the kids, and they were going to make dolls. Not, you know, I was going to have my own doll that actually was a boy doll, not just a girl doll. And that whole project fell through. That was like a huge childhood disappointment. And then after my voice changed, I auditioned for Kids Incorporated.
Oh, wow.
And that was, I was obsessed with Kids Incorporated. And, but they said they wanted someone whose voice hadn't changed yet. And so, and so, you know, and then I started writing my own songs when I was, I wrote my first song when I was 14. It was called Parental Discretion is Advised.
So why don't you do that one?
Actually, I swear, this is funny, because the song Parental Discretion is Advised was a total rip-off of Express Yourself by Madonna. So I was ripping off Express Yourself before Lady Gaga. And so I started writing my own songs, and then, you know, I left the confines of Orthodox parochial school and Jewish school, and I went to NYU. Once I did that, I started taking classes. I took the very first Intro to Lesbian and Gay Studies course that was ever given at NYU, and it just really politicized me, and it made me realize that it was not enough for me to just make music. I wanted to have something to say as an artist, and so that's when I started writing songs with male pronouns, and Billboard magazine noticed and wrote a thing about it. And there was something else I wanted to tell you guys, though. I can't remember. There's so many stories, there's so many things that happen. It's been a long career.
It ain't over yet.
It's been a really long career. And so yeah, then I came out, I basically was making demos, you know, and I came out with my first album in 2000, and I thought, you know, the record labels would be dying to sign me with male pronouns, you know, and like there was no one doing it. So I thought, oh my God, they're going to be so excited about it. They were not excited about it, and I had very big record label executives, you know, Clive Davis, things of that sort, and you know, and they were like, I mean, when I said, look, you know, look, there's male pronouns, you know, and the response was like, oh yeah, we're not even going to go there, like literally, and it was a gay guy who said that to me.
You seemed it.
Huh?
Oh no, I'm never going to go there. You seemed it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he wouldn't even like, he didn't want to talk about it.
Right.
It was like, no. So, and so I just decided to put the album out myself, and it was like I had, you know, this was like just when independent artists were able to start putting their stuff on iTunes, and you know, and so I just really started doing everything myself. And then finally Logo, the gay network, came out, and since I was, you know, they needed content, so they started airing my videos during the commercial breaks, and so yeah, then I became like the gay pride poster boy, and performed all over the world. And you know, I had one major label song out on Universal Records that was co-written with Desmond Child, and I was on Top of the Pops, and yeah, but again, that project, even though Desmond was openly gay, and there was a huge story in Billboard magazine, and you know, he written hits for Cher and Ricky Martin and Bon Jovi and Aerosmith, and he was very open about it. He did not want me to be open about it, and you know, I tell this story also in the show. You know, we shot the first video, and they wanted me to do a love scene with the girl in the video, and I said I didn't want to do that. I said I'm cool with having, like, you know, a bunch of girls, we're all hanging out. You know? And then, you know, there was one moment when I was in the car and I like took my sunglasses off, and they just quick cut back to some girl in like this water spring, like with a wet t-shirt and gang on, like, you know, so it looked like I was like cruising a girl, and you know, from the back.
Fake news.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that, because, I mean, not to get political or anything, but, you know, with the advent of what's been going on politically in the U.S. and the States, you know, I feel an even greater imperative now to tell the story and to tell my story, because there is a strange wave of conservatism and anti-Semitism and homophobia and sexism and racism and all those things that are, you know, unfortunately being resurrected and accepted by the people who are supposed to be leading. So I think it makes the message all the more important. And I don't think Jem would be very happy either, quite frankly.
Me neither.
Right.
She's been raising him for a long time.
I think in light of this, it feels like we need Jem more than ever. And I wonder if it's plausible, if not to resurrect another film, like
A Broadway
to,
play.
to resurrect an animated film.
They should do a Lego. A Jem Lego.
Oh!
It's like
that
digital
You
Jem.
know, that
hilarious.
is a good idea.
That'd be awesome. You could still throw some serious stuff in there, you know. But how awesome would that
I
be?
see neon, like
little,
Lego.
like little, you know, Jem and
She
all the
could sing
characters.
everything is
Oh,
awesome.
totally. I could completely see a Jem Lego movie. And Jem Lego characters and everything.
Actually, there was somebody who came to JemCon in Toronto who had made the whole like Lego set.
Oh my god.
There's a prototype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are pitches.
Yeah. Or like a fun, you know, stop action film, like claymation, like they, you know.
A robot chicken.
Robot
dolls.
I mean, it would be great to see, because they have all that new technology we have now in animation and stuff. It would be so cool to see an updated animated Gem.
If they
Like
do
Jem
it
goes
right.
to space
If
or
they do
something.
it right.
Cool.
That's the key. I'm still rooting for the Broadway off-Broadway.
Yes, yes.
Because from that, everything.
Oh, you
It's
know,
possible.
I'm sure, I know you have a question. I'm sure I've told this story to the Gem fans before, but that's the thing. It's like Gem has so many fans that are that are huge. I know that Britney Spears was a huge Gem fan, and I know, you know, I was friends. I worked with her stylist for some projects, and I think I told this before, but they were all at a big dinner, and Gem came up, and Britney's sitting there, and she goes, she gets like stops. She goes, "Hey, everybody, stop! I just realized something. I am Gem." So, you know, it's just the fans. It has so many huge artists like Britney and Gaga and you know Pink also. Yeah, I mean,
Gaga's a fan?
Huh?
Gaga's a fan?
Yeah, they all. I'm pretty sure Gaga has mentioned Gem and grown up with Gem. And,
Oh yeah, Nicki Minaj in that song with Dance, like she named her. I was like, I'm Jam, not the hologram.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Nicki's Jam too.
We're all Gem.
May the gem be with you.
But there's all these people who are
Or may synergy be
such
with
big
you.
fans and grew up with it. Why do you think it's struggling so much to like find like a foothold or?
I mean, I happen to think that they had an opportunity with the film where they have all because at the end of the day, you know, even the original Gem at the end of the day, in many ways, it was like I think Christie, you know, her genius and her you know, it stems with her and her ability to tell a story and create these memorable characters. And then you have the visuals, and then you have songs, music. I mean, there was so few things that had music elevate something to a whole nother level, I think. But at the end of the day, you need the big companies. You know, back in the '80s, it was Hasbro, and you know, and then a few years ago, it was the big film companies that were part of. You know, and you just need that big corporate money to maintain a brand, and you know, without that support, it's very difficult to elevate anything from a smaller underground thing to a more mainstream thing. And so they had the opportunity, but they kind of screwed it up.
Sadly.
I mean, if everybody like in the film looked like Alicia, then we'd be fine.
Wait,
I wish I could make the
look like me.
Just styled, you know. She got it right. They just got the makeup wrong. They got the styling wrong. They just got it all wrong. In my opinion.
With the big dresses.
Oh yeah, that's me.
I've had a question. I mean, people talk about updating Gem a lot, but how did people, like, what are your opinions on updating her? If she should be like a retro 80s Gem, or if she should be sort of an 80s inspired modern day
Or a
Gem?
period piece?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I mean, you know.
I think it would be great to do contemporary.
Probably, I think.
Yeah.
I think because the '80s are so, you know, retro is contemporary, and so you can put all those elements. You know, we still have. I mean, I think I've heard a lot of stuff about holographic technology and the advancement of real hologram. I mean, Gem, you know, it anticipated this like technology that is really going on now. What they're doing with Michael Jackson, and I mean that it's real. Synergy is real, people. She exists. So they
3D.
Yeah, she would have cell phones, and you know, they would be on Facebook.
Right.
But fashion today is so, it's everything now. It's all different
80s,
eras.
90s.
Yeah, it's whatever. But that makes it really interesting. So.
You know, in Japan they have they have a character
it's not 3D character, but it is like a hologram, and
Yeah.
she sings, and they invite people to write
See her
songs
live.
for it.
Oh,
Wow.
And that's huge like this. I don't know if we could do something
wow.
like Jem, maybe it would help to promote her. But my question was, what do you think about the next generation in your field of work? What are your impressions? How do you think they work and what they think about their field of work?
Well, somebody's got to make I do think they need to do an update animation, because this is going to be real. This is really, everyone's going to be upset about this. But like I tried to get my little niece, my 8-year-old niece, to watch the old Gem. And I know a lot of young kids are, because it's available on on the internet, and it's available on Netflix or wherever else, the entire series. So I know a lot of new fans are coming in, but I tried to get my niece to watch it, and she doesn't like old school animation because they're not used to it. Like it's like when a lot of when we were growing up, like we didn't want to watch black and white, because we saw things in color. I mean, it's very provincial, but so I think, it hurts. It hurts when my niece doesn't want to see it because it doesn't seem like it's made today.
Or relevant.
Yeah. So they do need to do something that is updated for those type of kids.
Like they did with My Little Pony.
Yeah, they've updated My Little Pony and stuff.
When I was growing up, the whole world was in black and white. Didn't change the perspective. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, that with what they've done with all the Marvel and DC comics, even though those comics and cartoons were out then, they've really pushed them, and every generation, it's relevant to every generation now. They've managed to keep it updated. So it's like if they can do it with those characters, why can't they do it?
And I'll tell you one theory on that is again, I mean, if you look at how long it finally took to have a Wonder Woman movie to have a female character, they'll quick to do, the Transformers get a true to the original updated version, but Jem somehow didn't, and it took so long for the biggest female superhero in the world, and it took so many years of multiple Spider-Man and Batman incarnations, and there's something about the big people up in the top and those running things, or a bunch of so
there's a big list that you could add to that, but
yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think
their
that
heads are in different places.
for me, my favorite movie genre is action. So there's some action movies that people have seen that they thought were good, but because I watch a lot of action movies, I didn't think that much of it. So when I finally saw Wonder Woman, I felt like that was a good action movie.
Oh yeah.
And part of what bothered me about that is that if they had this capability all this time, why did it take so long? And I'm just going to put that thought right there. The other thing I wanted to say.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to say was when any character or anything is updated, some people might say reimagined, and changes are made to it, I believe that the necessity of growth cannot be understated. But the substance of whatever that is still needs to be what it was for it to remain what it is. And if you also think about it like redecorating a house, if it's a bedroom, change the color, change the walls, change the curtains, it still needs to be that bedroom. The substance of it can't be lost in these reimaginings. In a lot of ways, particular demographics may be sacrificed when certain things are reimagined to conveniences that don't appeal to those demographics. And when that happens, I don't want to say it like that, but that's what I'm thinking. Okay, we miss opportunities, like with the movie. That reimagining left a lot of people out. And I do feel like some of the things that happened with the movie were, they may not have been afterthoughts, but I think that they were, to try to recapture some of what was obviously being lost with the way that it was first presented. I really felt kind of bad about that. But like I was telling some other friends of mine, I do think that some people kind of overreacted with the death threats to John Chu. That was a little much, you know. I didn't love it. It wasn't my favorite, but I wouldn't have done that. And I guess my question to you guys would be, considering a reimagining from behind the scenes side, do you have a concept of what it might look like to you for this day?
Behind the scenes, I think a lot of the reimagining, when you have an existing character and a property is being developed, people are, okay, you're producing, you're taking it from this level, and a lot of times people may actually subconsciously resent that and want to do their own thing and lose track of the essence of the original property. And I've seen that happen with a few like Fantastic Four and others where they wanted to change it too much to make it relevant and new, but they lose sight of the essence of what it is about. And people may not be smart enough to see it all as what it was. And it takes people who have a love for the existing property, but not so much that they're set in stone, that they can evolve the property but keep the essence.
I did feel like that the comic, I haven't kept up with all of it lately, but I did feel like when the comic first launched, it did keep to the essence of what made Jem special, but updated it as well. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so.
I thought it was really good, but as of late, it's kind of getting less great. But then I have hope for the new Dimension series, which is, I think they're like one-shots per comic. So it's going to be like one story contained per comic, or multiple stories contained per comic. So it's not going to be dragged out. Because I feel like we're kind of, with the comic, it's like we're sort of losing focus because it's once per month and sometimes they don't even stick to that timeline. So we can sort of just lose the momentum of the storyline.
I know one thing that Kelly Thompson has spoken on with the Gem comic was towards the end of the series, things got very rushed. She had to cut out a lot of the story elements that had been intended to be in there just because the publisher was making them hurry up and she wanted to be able to fit in an arc about the Stingers before their deadline got cut off.
Which is good to
Oh.
Yeah, so a lot of that rush storytelling towards the end of the series was actually in order to keep the Stingers in the series.
Okay. And what are you talking about currently with this one? Infinite?
And it'll be interesting seeing Dimensions moving forward because that'll be the first series that isn't written by Kelly Thompson. So it'll be interesting seeing what the series will change.
I think piggyback on what Raven was saying is, we as fans, we have to also think that Gem or whatever cartoon or whatever childhood memory that we have that has made us the adult that we are now, that's what it is. Something that shaped us, but that doesn't mean that it's something that it's gonna change us if it gets changed at one point or another.
Right. We don't lose what we got.
Exactly.
With that change.
And if, which I always feel like, a lot of people thought the movie was horrible, the Jump Shoot movie, or you cringe, or you like never wanted to give it an opportunity or whatever. But you also have to be fair that it is what it is. Hasbro from the get-go didn't give them the opportunity that they wanted. Yeah, they dumped gazillion million money on Transformers and on Avengers and all this, but Jem get measly, how much? $5 million, and that's it. And, exactly. And if you look at even their own toy lines, it gets that expressed. They had a huge problem with Star Wars because they didn't release enough Rey figures because they thought nobody wanted to buy a girl actor.
Misogyny.
And in Transformers, they were having a huge problem because a female character from the 80s, RC, fans kept demanding that they wanted to have her in the line, and they never wanted to finally got a huge push in the convention. Like literally, fans boycotted to direct it to them. When the hell are you gonna make RC? And they finally got her out. And Jem fans were so vocal about keeping it dated in the 80s that they didn't want to see it move on to this era, that really pitchforks and walking and chains and I'm going to murder you and I'm going to do horrible things to your family and all this, that they were so hold on into that I'm not a fan of the movie. I gave it a chance, but I did see his attempt to kind of make us happy, so to speak. I did see second edition fashions in the movie. I did see little Easter eggs here and there. That it wasn't what I wanted, no, but I kind of saw it like in a different universe, a prequel, his way of getting preteens and all this, kind of like aiming for the Hannah Montanas and all that crap. Getting that generation hooked up and having those little kids go to their moms or the older sisters or the aunts or whatever. Mommy, who is Jem? Or what is that? And then like, oh honey, let me show you what my Jem looked like. And kind of like that kind of stuff. Figured out that it bombed, that they didn't go through. Yeah, well there have been far more worse movies than the Jem movie.
Oh yeah.
So.
It's since I'm on this panel, I get to say my fan opinion, and my fan opinion is that a lot like I already said this, but a lot of the magic to me that made Jem was Christy Marks and her storytelling, and I think it was a last minute for her to come in, but she should have been there from the beginning because she understood the Jem books and the Jem.
That was Hasbro's fault. A lot of people approached them to be part of the movie, and Hasbro was the ones that said, no, we got this, we got somebody else who got all this cover.
Yeah, they underestimated, I think, what made the original so powerful, and the creative team behind what made the original. They thought they could just do their own, but you can't recreate that magic without the original people.
And didn't it only stay in theaters for 2 weeks?
They took it out of the theaters early.
Because nobody was going. So they didn't reach a wider audience that they were hoping to reach.
Yeah, I know, exactly. By watering it down, they didn't do anything. No.
I was just going to say, like, the people that were so angry about the movie, I think, is kind of what you said about the RC boycott. They were trying to send a message to Hasbro that this wasn't their Jem and they wanted the real Jem, but it backfired on them because the backlash was, oh, no one wants a Jem, instead of no one wants that Jem. Like they were trying to take a stand. Yeah, they were trying to take a stand, and it worked, but it worked to kill the property.
Correct.
So, there's healing that needs to happen in that fan base that doesn't know about JemCon in this world. So, they were angry for a reason, but unfortunately their reason was kind of apocalyptic to the brand. So, I just wanted to kind of...
I have a question on that. And I don't know if this is, it's at least the venue for the question, but I'm not sure, who would answer it. But this is just what I'm thinking. I mean, a number of people have heard what you just shared. The idea that when the backlash about the movie became public and everybody knew that there was going to be this backlash, that the backlash was misinterpreted to mean we don't want Jem, we don't want Jem, as opposed to we want our Jem, we want a correct Jem, we want a different Jem. Why might the reaction have been misinterpreted if it was strong enough in connection to Jem at all to be as vocal as it was?
What she said.
And I mentioned this in the camera yesterday, and I think there was a good conversation going on, and this is just my opinion, but I mean, because there is that. There is the people who knew about the Jem movie were the Jem fans, but part of that was there was no marketing. Like, does anybody remember Mark Max?
There was some on YouTube. There was some on YouTube.
There was a big billboard and run your Hasbro, run a commercial during My Little Pony. You have that power. Like, so they didn't. So they missed. They missed finding the new audience, the people who would love it without you know, without knowing Jem.
I only saw it late night.
I'm sorry?
Late night. Like when I would watch TV, like I never saw anything during the day. Always just like a late night.
The commercial didn't feature songs from the movie.
Yeah, so
that was the other thing
it
that
was
bothered me. It was songs from One Direction. Yeah, One Direction. Yeah, I was like, really?
You mean No Direction?
I like their perfume.
So I'll just voice in this conversation because I believe it very strongly. I think that Hasbro has a very successful brand in My Little Pony that is very girl oriented, but also gets male dollars in marketing. And Jem, in terms of just a pure branding, marketing scheme of what would happen, it would compete with My Little Pony. And they have no desire to put anything in the market that would compete with My Little Pony. That's just my opinion.
No, I think that just on that part, they did test the waters with the Twisted Girls when they did the music section of it, when they did the whole.
Yeah, they're just moving My Little Pony over into the areas of Jem that
fashion
My Little
dolls,
Pony
so to
hasn't
speak,
done
their
yet.
way of fashion dolls, and they didn't see much movement on that line, so they're not going to go for it because they know, sort of speak, Mattel and other people are pretty much dominant on that, and they're just going to concentrate on action figures in the boy area, and I mean to the point that they even made My Little Pony action figures. So that's pretty. Hasbro has its own fault. They shot themselves in the foot with Jem. There's no other around of it. They should have done a way better job with this in marketing and all that. So
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
yes.
And why change this logo? I mean, this logo.
I
is-
I didn't change it, I just used it. I didn't design it.
Do you know who did?
Do you know who designed the logo?
I have a question. Do you guys still get paid for the reruns now?
I love it.
Is there any percentage? Because now that the show is available on Netflix.
And some of us watch it constantly.
I don't get residuals for Jem. I do get residuals for the Life and Adventures of Santa Claus.
Like 2 cents?
It's about $6.
A year? Or?
Whenever it runs.
Oh, whenever it runs.
It's been running more over the past several years, but that's pretty much it. Or if, because the Hallmark commercial I sang in made it into like the Hallmark Hall of Fame, and if they ever do like a Hallmark Hall of Fame TV special, and they want to use that commercial, they actually have to get in touch with me and get my permission to use it.
And back in the day, did you get paid for, like it was like a one payment for the job, or was it also like?
Well, if you did a demo, it was one payment for a demo. But if you got a final, depending on if it was local or national, and depending on what channels it was playing on, depended on how much you got paid. Also, if you were singing in group, if you were a lead singer, That also depended on how much you got paid, but normally you would get, it was like on a schedule, like sometimes you'd see like a zillion checks come in and then it would be dry for like 3 months, and then I think it depended on where it was playing and how many times it played and on what stations. But it was always nice to see those checks come in. And half the time, my mother would never show them to me. Yeah, no, it was great. It was actually really good. She handled things really, really well. It was, you know, every once in a while, I'd open a check and be like, oh my God, can I buy a car? And she's like, that's $200, honey. It's, you know, this money is for college, which it was, and it helped.
And you did go to.
That I did go to, because I did not stay with Boy Crazy. But yeah, like these days, you know, most of the stuff doesn't run anymore. But back then it was kind of nice. It was fruitful.
I feel like I saw some checks from Gem, like I saw something a few years ago, but I know that that's part of what Anne has been trying to fight for. Is there was some disconnect somewhere in the business that didn't allow all the people who were part of it to get paid what they're supposed to get paid.
DVD release.
Right.
Whatever
We didn't get anything for the DVDs or anything like that.
Whatever happened with the court thing, is it still going on?
I don't know. I don't know what the latest is.
It's really funny. A lot of companies will try to get around. Like there's all these unions that we work for, SAG and AFTRA, which, well, actually SAG and AFTRA are now one union. But there are places like, I'm not going to mention the name of the company, but they used to have shows on television like Back to the 80s, and you'd see all these toys and shows and games, and all of a sudden you'd be watching it and you'd hear yourself, you know, and you're like, yeah, and Jem may have actually been one of them, you know, those toys you got in the 80s or the shows that happened, what happened to this show, what happened to this show, and then all of a sudden you'd be like, that's me. Where's my money? And you literally have to call them up, and you'd have to go to the union, you'd have to call the place up, or call the place up first and say, listen, you used my spot, you used my commercial, you may have used Gem or whatever, that's me, I can prove it, now pay me. And a lot of the time, they will do anything anything that they can to not pay you that money.
What's their justification for not paying you?
The commercial's not playing anymore.
But even if they use it on like a montage show, what did they say? Well, we don't have to pay you because it's on a recap show or whatever.
No, they say, well, actually, you know, to be honest with you, they didn't say anything like that because I caught them. So as long as no one catches them, they'll just keep using it over and over and over again. So I wouldn't be surprised if, say, you know, a Gem cartoon or something like would come up, and maybe, you know, Ari wouldn't get paid, or I wouldn't get paid, or, you know, Louise wouldn't get paid, because why would we?
Were you supposed to get any residuals, or?
The artists did not. However, we were union, and a part of the deal with our union is that the residuals are paid to our union, which funds our retirement fund, helps fund our retirement fund, which I'm collecting now. You know, I'm like, okay, at least somebody's watching for it and getting it, and they're giving it back to me now, till I croak, you know.
I got a few years left before I get my pension.
Well, I when I was growing up, the world was completely black and white.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right, I guess it's about time to wrap it up. Thanks so much, Dorsey.